Well, today we're going to talk about Investor Day. And you've heard me say it before. I think we may be overestimating, or we might be underestimating what Investor Day is going to be all about. I'm an optimist, so I think that maybe we're underestimating. It's going to be even better than I can possibly imagine. But I do believe that this might be the biggest event that I have witnessed stock market wise in my life. Prove me wrong. Tell me about another day. I'm thinking of a couple of times with Apple. I want to say the second year of the iPhone, when they didn't know how many iPhones they would sell. And then people were lining up 3 days before or whatever, 5 days before, and there was lines around the block at many, many locations. That might have been an example, or maybe a couple of the Apple reveals might have been an example. But I'm hard pressed to imagine other events or other situations in history that will have this much impact. Now, I don't think there'll be as many people watching or as many people interested as there were in the Apple events, because the Apple events were really consumer driven, and every single person was probably, was somewhat interested in what these new phones were going to look like. While every single person would certainly be interested in automobiles and energy and all the things that Tesla's doing, I don't think you have quite the same crowd that would be, listening in that day. But who knows? Maybe by the time that it actually happens in 2 weeks, maybe there will be massive numbers of people watching. But let's go down the list, because I'm guessing, because as I created this list, new things kept coming to my mind. And I'm supposing that maybe some of these things are not on your mind. And if they were, you might be even as excited as I am, or maybe more excited than I am. But that's hard to imagine. So this is Randy Kirk. If this content is helpful to you, it's valuable to you, even if it's just fun to watch, or even if it's just not fun to watch, but you feel you have to watch anyway, whatever. Let's get into the story of the day. You know what to do: like and subscribe and all that stuff. Okay, let's start with the obvious. Master Plan 3. Probably everybody that's watching this video right now has been waiting for Master Plan 3 for a very long time. We were promised Master Plan 3 last year. This is not that far after the end of last year, but I kept on like bated breath waiting for Master Plan 3 last year, even though to a certain extent, I think we feel like we know what's in it. Having said that, I, again, just spent some time thinking through Master Plan 3, and there might be some surprises in there. Maybe there won't be. But let's just talk about what's going to be in there and why it is potentially mind-blowing. Okay, number one, mining. So where are the raw materials going to come from? That is evidently the biggest thing with regard to Master Plan 3. It's supposed to be, how are we going to massively explode the volume of all the things that are already being done? More minerals, more refining, more battery production, and then more batteries going into finished products. I like to call them hosts. Maybe we'll convince the rest of the world to start calling what the batteries go into hosts. I don't know, maybe. Okay, so, but where are these raw materials going to come from? Where are the materials going to come from? Well, so far, right now, the only one that Elon is talking about has been lithium. It seems like the other things he must feel are okay, that the supply is there. He's talked about nickel in the past, but nickel kind of hasn't been mentioned recently. People are talking about copper, like copper is a real problem, but Elon's never mentioned copper. Some of the rare earth metals, I don't know whether any of those are really of concern. And if they are, you'd think Elon would be talking about them. So maybe he will. Maybe he'll bring up a number of these other minerals and materials that will be necessary in order to get us to the ramp that he's talking about. Maybe he'll be talking about, this one is plenty, this one is rough. Here's how we plan to solve the problem. So when it comes to the mining of lithium, which is the one that I think most people would agree is a problem. First of all, we have the alternative, and the only alternative to lithium right now that's really in the spotlight is sodium. Sodium is being talked about by CATL. They are right now, apparently already producing a sodium ion battery that is an alternative to the lithium. However, having said that, we know that the sodium is not necessarily going to be able to be used for all applications. It's heavier. It's got some other negatives associated with it. It's not going to be as dense in terms of power. It's certainly not going to be able to use in high performance vehicles. So we're not sure how sodium fits in, but it's one more chemistry, and it'd be great. I'm hoping that Elon will talk about sodium. Is that part of the mix? Is that part of the future as he sees it going forward? And where does he see it? How does it fit in? Okay. Number two, Elon, of course, Tesla released some properties in the West here that have clay deposits, lithium-rich clay deposits. And he said they had some ways of mining the lithium out of clay that were advanced and that they were going to continue to work on that. We've heard zip about that for a long time. Unless you have, put it in the comments below if you've heard any more about the clay issue. But maybe we'll hear that clay is going to be a real opportunity in terms of getting more lithium faster than just from the other things that have been coming up around the world. India announcing that they found their first serious lithium deposits. Talks about the various Great Salt Lake and other places that might be able to do a lot more. Definitely conversations in Australia about ways of refining lithium that might get a higher yield and that might result in being able to put it back, higher yield because of both the initial yield and then also being able to put it through a second time, I think is how it works. But anyway, in any case, being able to get a higher yield and maybe not having to go to China to do that processing and just doing it all right there in Australia, which would dramatically speed things up. All right, I have a whole video out there right now on salt water and brine. Brine, of course, is already being used, but mostly it's a higher quality brine. So would they be able to use lower quality brines? Would it be able to be done where it's straight out of the salt water? And there's a couple of processes right now that might make that possible. Will Elon speak to any of these alternative methods for getting more lithium in place? Obviously, everybody, if you're listening to this, you probably know that there's a refinery being built because that's the other side of the coin. Right now, even though the lithium there might be enough lithium for at least the next couple of years, a lot of it, a high percentage of it goes to China for refining. I want to say it's on the order of 85, 90% of all the refining is done in China. And there isn't a country in the world outside of China that likes that. So everybody else, all these other countries are talking about the fact that there needs to be a way to start doing some refining in Europe, refining in Australia, refining in the United States or Canada, refining anywhere else other than China, rather than having all of our eggs in that one rather difficult basket. So obviously, Tesla is going to start refining within 2 years down in Corpus Christi, Texas. I think it's Corpus Christi. Anyway, check me on that. Put it in the comments below if I got that wrong. But there is a refinery plant being built down there, and Elon said that he hoped to be able to see first product coming out in 2025. So maybe there'll be an update on that. And then what I'd love to hear is that maybe there's going to be more than just that one location. We'll talk about that in a minute. Okay, so mining. What materials do we need? What materials are potentially in short supply? What are we going to do about the short supply? What refining issues are there with regard to supply? Where are we going to get that supply? How are we going to deal with the refining? How are we going to deal with the fact that it's all done in China? I'm hoping that a lot of those things will be part of Master Plan 3 and will be discussed as part of the overall issues that are going to come out. Then the question becomes, okay, you got enough of all of this refined material available. Now how are you going to make enough batteries? So, it's the battery stupid, I think should become one of our mantras going forward. It's the battery stupid. That's the whole game. The game is the batteries. Uh, all the other things are hosts. So we need enough batteries to make all the other things work. Even the Optimus robot needs batteries. So we need the batteries, and you got the raw materials, but you need to be able to make them into batteries in enough quantity, fast enough to be able to make the transition happen. So we know that every single major battery factory in the world is ramping up more production in the United States and in Europe and in China, all over the place. These new battery factories are going in. And then Tesla has announced that they plan to do 1 terawatt of their own production in the United States alone. There's at least 100 gigawatts going to be done in Berlin, probably more. We think there's going to be more done in Shanghai. It would appear that maybe Indonesia is going to be another locations where the nickel will be mined, and then they might be building batteries there. That's pure speculation, right? But it's not just me that's speculating on that. So where are the batteries going to be built? Which one, how many of them really are going to be built by Tesla? Is it really going to be 2 terawatts out of the 3 that he's hoping Tesla is involved in by the end of the decade? He's always said 3 terawatts. That was assumed to be a combination of Tesla manufactured and purchased from third parties. Is that still the goal? Is it 2 by Tesla and 1 by third parties? Is it 3 by Tesla and additional by third parties? Maybe help us zero in on that number, and then maybe a little bit of information about how he sees the split. Many people, including me, have talked about a 3-way split. Actually, I might be the only one talking about this 3-way split. A terawatt for cars, a terawatt for semis, and a terawatt for energy storage, and maybe a little bit more for energy storage, a little less on the other 2. So that's roughly my split. Other people are not that far off from my thinking. What do you think? How do you think it'll be split up? Do you think it's 3 terawatts? Do you think it's all going to come from Tesla? Or do you think that'll be plus a combination of Tesla and third party to get to 3? Then I'm assuming, because it's master plan 3 and the way he's talked about it, where's the other 7 going to come from? He says we need 10 by 2030. Who else is going to make those batteries? Where is all the rest of the raw materials going to come from to make batteries that are not associated with Tesla? So hopefully he's going to talk about that as well. What is going to, where are we going to get to 10 terawatts by the end of this decade? All right, number 2. Now, that would be enough. Quite frankly, this unveil of Master Plan 3 should be enough to move the stock. Now, the stock's been moving. It's more than doubled in the last 6 weeks. It is still going up today. It is still going up in the after hours last time I looked. So yes, whether it's some of the other things that I've talked about in my other videos that are moving the stock right now, one thing we know is the whales are getting in. And the whales are getting in maybe because it was just so cheap, but maybe the whales are beginning to go, I can see the future. I mean, that's what whales do, right? That's how they got to be whales. So what I've just described, where the battery materials are going to come from, how they're going to be refined, and how many batteries are going to be made, and how they're going to be split up, and what that looks like over the next 7 years, that would be enough alone to generate a lot of enthusiasm for Investor Day and drive the stock up prior to Investor Day. And then if 80% of what I've just asked for actually materialized on Investor Day in ways that were believable, I have to think the stock keeps going up. It could sell on the news, but if 80% of what I just asked for comes out on Investor Day and it's believable, I think the stock keeps going up. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. That's the visible part that we know is going to happen. Now, there's other visible parts, and then we'll talk about the less visible parts. So number 2 would be the Generation 3 platform. So what does it look like? How many different vehicles will fit? I mean, is it a platform like the Generation 2 platform was the Model 3 and the Model Y. The Generation 1 platform was the S and the X. Is this a platform that will have just, again, maybe 2 vehicles? Or will it have 4 vehicles? How many different vehicles are going to be designed to layer on top of this platform? And what does the platform look like? Is there something completely new and unique about it? Obviously, if it's really, really crazy different, this could be another catalyst. So that would be another question. What does the Generation 3 platform look like, and how many vehicles are designed to go on top of it? And then we go to the vehicles that will fit on top of it. So these reveals will be the ones that Wall Street and consumers are going to be the most likely to zero in on. Okay, they like things that look like consumer things that the consumer can get. And so what are we going to see? I've got a list. We could see the robotaxi unveiled. So we could see a design for what the robotaxi is going to look like. You know, we've seen a Cadillac version a couple of years ago where people were sitting in a, you know, all facing in, and, you know, the chairs could swivel around a bit. You know, is that what we're looking at? Is there going to be more than, or is it going to be a screen for every chair? How does it all work? What does this robotaxi look like? I'm hoping, I'm sure you're hoping, that we'll get a reveal of the actual look of the physical robotaxi, the top part of the robotaxi. What's it going to look like? How's it going to function? What's going to be unique about it? And when do they plan to start making those, both the bottoms and, you know, the platform, the Generation 3 platform and the robotaxi? All right. Is it going to be made out of stainless steel? What are robotaxis going to be for sale at all? And if they are, what are they going to cost? So those are going to be questions that we're going to want to know. Well, okay, so that's the robotaxi. Clearly, I'm hoping, I think everybody thinks that version 11 of the FSD will be out prior to that. It's supposed to be out this week, at least coming out to some of the employees and whatnot. So that would suggest that by next week, we'll be seeing version 11 maybe going out more broadly or to everyone. Hopefully that gives everybody enough time to drive it. Will there be some announcement with regard to FSD at the Investor Day? Investor Day doesn't mean it's narrowly focused on just these products. I mean, there could be a dojo announcement on Investor Day. It's Investor Day. So, but I'm hoping maybe an FSD announcement. Where are we on FSD? Does he believe he's getting close to being able to talk to regulators? I mean, where are we on FSD? All right. The next one would be the hatchback, or the what's been called, you know, the Model 2, or it's been called so many things, the $25,000 car. Some people are saying, no, it should be a 19,995 car. Whatever it is, I'm guessing it'll be a smaller car that will still be available for the public to buy. That will be a mass market car that would potentially maybe be 4, 5, 6, 8 million cars per year. Since most of us think the Model Y will be 4 million units a year, this will be even more than the Model Y because of the larger addressable market. Will we get to see this car? Now, this could be the car, which again, depending on cost and timing and looks and how it's made and any distinctive features about it, this could be the thing that would just shoot the stock to the moon. If it's good looking, if it really is 25,000 or 19,900 or, you know, whatever the price is, and if it's talked about in terms of some relatively soon release, like let's call it a Jan 1, 2024, you know, that would mean that maybe this would cause the stock to go nuts. We'll see, but that would be a big one. Okay, then we have the promise. It was stated, didn't say that they would announce it at Investor Day, but there's supposed to be additional commercial vehicles. Would they fit on this new platform? Or would they fit on the Model 3 platform? Or would some of them fit on the Model S platform? I mean, all those things are possible, but we've been promised additional commercial vehicles. Will that be announced? That could be a big catalyst. Van, truck, both, 3 or 4 different versions of vans and trucks. It's possible. You could have a little truck, you could have a mid-sized truck, you could have a small van, you could have a large, sprint type van. I mean, all those 4 models alone are possible, and in various ways of setting them up in terms of whether they're for package delivery or whether they're for taking 18 people to Las Vegas. So anyway, there's lots of different possibilities there about a new commercial vehicle. Is it one? Is it more? Boy, do we want to know about that? We were also promised, and it might have been the same promise, so we're not real clear on this, another item using batteries. So if there's enough batteries, then there's going to be another item using batteries. It's an important item, apparently, something that was at the top of Elon's mind. So what might that other item be? Well, we get an announcement. I've tried to think about that. I mean, it could be boats, it could be ships, it could be vertical liftoff and vertical takeoff, and anyway, vertical VTOL. It could be a plane. It could be, who knows? It could be an electric bicycle. Everybody thinks that the electric bicycle business is massive, and in some parts of the world it is. In the United States, it's still little. Young people haven't caught on to it yet. Even middle-aged people haven't caught on to it yet. It's mostly most of the business now is 55 to 75. I know a little bit about this. I'm in the bicycle game. Okay, so maybe they're going to announce an electric bike that would really be amazing. Elon has said he'll never make a motorcycle, but he has hinted before that he might make an electric bike. So that could be the other item. That would be fun for me. That'd be a great one. I don't think that would be a catalyst for the stock. I just don't think there's enough sense on the street or among retail investors that would be a monstrous new business. It would be a big business and it'd be opportunity there, but it wouldn't be huge. And then the other one that could come out in terms of products might be an Optimus update. Of course, you know, that would be way at the top of my list. I'd like to see Optimus walking around and doing anything useful. If I could see an Optimus walking around and doing anything useful, my day would be made. You wouldn't have to show me anything else. That would be plenty and enough. Now, I do want all the rest of those things on the list, but that is my number one, top of the list. Okay, so those are a bunch of stuff. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, a few of those, 60% of them, half of them, we get a few of those things that I just talked about, the stock goes nuts. All right, and then what else might come out? Well, we might, because it's about batteries and it is Investor Day, and it is about, you know, ramping up, I'm hoping for more information on the ramp up of Megapacks. Megapacks huge. We know it's hugely profitable, and we know that there's an unlimited demand for it. That's what Elon said. Well, if there's an unlimited demand, then we want to make an unlimited number of them. So how are we going to do that? How are we ramping that? More details, Elon, come on. Is Lathrop going to get supersized? Are there going to be new facilities? How are we going to ramp Lathrop? Or how are we going to ramp Lathrop type factories in the future, and how quickly? More detail on that, and kind of where are we on Lathrop now? What are the numbers now? We're hearing it might be 12 or 15 a day out of the 25 that's supposed to be possible. So is that right? Is that wrong? Where are we on this process? Then would become the any more info on the ramp of the semi-truck. Again, the semi-truck, the key thing about the semi-truck is that it just takes has such a larger impact on pollutants, such a much larger impact on taking particulates out of the air, and on reducing the amount of petroleum that we use. So I'm hoping that Elon has in his head that he wants to ramp semis just as fast as he possibly can. And possibly the slow ramp so far has to do with testing with real world drivers and real world situations, putting in the mega packs and putting in the mega chargers at their locations, and just making sure everything's kind of working well before they begin to really go. And maybe it will be January 1 of next year before Reno, the new facilities that are being built, actually we have a factory level ramp. Maybe there'll be a tent between now and then where we'll start to ramp before that facility is finished. I don't know, but I'd love to know more. What is the plan? How are we going to do the semis over the next few months or the next year or so? And then evidently this is important. I don't know. This would be maybe number 2 on my list after the Optimus. What's happening with the ramp on 4680? What is their real goal right now for Austin for 2023? What is the goal for Berlin in 2023? Because both of those need to be well along, I would think, in order to be able to think about starting yet another line in Reno. So where are we? How are we doing? What kind, maybe give us a little more behind the scenes information on what are some of the things that are keeping us from ramping faster. Is there any major hurdles that we haven't been able to overcome? Are we waiting for that new cathode factory to be finished in Austin? Is that part of the issue? I just don't know. And nobody seems to know. There's just no conversation about why we see this ramp as being slow. Maybe it isn't. Maybe it's exactly on target. Tell us. We'd love to know. Okay. And then any update on Cybertruck? That would just be like a fun throw in. Is June, July? Is that when we'll see first outs coming off the line, going out to employees to test, et cetera, et cetera? Is there any hiccups? Is there anything that they see that's in the way of having that happen on June? He said beginning of summer. So June, July, is that when we're going to see this? Is that still the plan? Are they going to show us? Maybe they're going to show us the current version in detail. That'd be great. I mean, that investors would want to see that, right? Maybe some people will be driving around the newest version. That'd be fun. Okay. So those are, you can imagine again, if they tell us that the ramp of this 4680 is going perfectly, everything's going exactly as planned, and that there's absolutely no hurdles, it's just a matter of continuing to increase the numbers, that would be a huge impact on the stock, I think. If the semi is 100% on target for 50,000 next year, and in fact, they're planning to start making more of them, like 100 a week or 200 a week, as we get closer to 2024, those things would be helpful to know. I skipped one. Look at this. I skipped the Model 3 makeover. So I mentioned in an earlier video this morning, kind of interesting that they've shut down the Model 3 line in Shanghai 2 weeks before Investor Day. And why would that be? If they're going to be switching over Shanghai to the Highland, and it's going to take 2 weeks to do that, maybe we'll be seeing first outs. We'll be seeing the first production of the Highland out of Shanghai on Investor Day, and we'll see what are the benefits of this new Highland version. Is it truly going to be made in half the footprint? Is it truly going to be made in half the labor, with half the labor hours? Is it truly going to be made? Is it going to drop the cost? Does that mean we're going to have a $25,000 vehicle in Shanghai immediately? That would be something that would blow the stock market up. So that would be good. Anyway, and where else are they going to do the Highland? Are they going to shut down the Model 3 line in Fremont anytime soon? Are they going to start making them in Austin? Are they going to start making them in Berlin? What exactly is the plan with regard to the Highland? I'm expecting more information on the Highland that day. That alone, if that was the only thing that happened on March 1, it could be huge. Okay. Now, then there's the possible surprises. Those are the things that are kind of like, yeah, those should all happen. And if 80% or 60% of those happen in ways that are valuable, the stock should go crazy. All right. What are the surprises? Number one, a gigafactory announcement. Is it Indonesia? Is it Japan? Is it Mexico? Where is the next gigafactory really going to be? Is it a done deal? Are we beginning to turn dirt? What is the plan for that gigafactory? Love to hear about the next gigafactory. That is a little bit, that's a couple of months late. Also, we were promised 2 by the end of last year. Where the next gigafactory is going to be. That'd be fantastic to add that to the mix. The next one might be the expansion of Shanghai. If that's been in the works for a while, people say that it was slowed down because the government was worried about some aspect of FSD or something. Oh no, I know it was the satellites. It was the Starlink satellites. China was worried about it, but that was a rumor. We haven't heard anything more about that in 3 weeks. What's going on in China? Are we going to expand Shanghai? Number 3, that could be a surprise, would be a mega factory announcement. I would love to see mega packs being made all over the world. Shanghai and in Europe, at Berlin or somewhere else, or we need more and more of these factories going up everywhere. Obviously, you need enough battery coming in order to make that happen, but maybe that's going to be part of the announcement. That's what we're hoping for. And then the final one on the list, there could be something secret. There could be something that we haven't been hinted at, that hasn't been, people would say, oh, well, it's going to be the upper body casting of the new Platform 3 vehicle is going to be a one-piece casting like a toy. And that's what the invitation is telling us. And that'd be great. But again, that's been hinted at. I'm looking for something special, something that hasn't been even hinted at. Even HVAC, if he mentions HVAC, that would still be something we know about. What if there's a surprise? What if there's a product that we're not yet been made aware of? Okay, that's my list. Add to it. What else would you like to see happen on Investor Day? Which one of these do you think are complete nonsense? There's not a chance in the world it's going to happen on Investor Day. Which ones of these do you think would move the market? I think almost every single one of those has the potential to move the market. And you put a few of those together, we could be at 300. Well, I'm not an investment advisor. I have no degrees or certifications in any of that kind of stuff. This is totally for entertainment purposes. Do your own homework. Okay, we could be at 300 in a couple of weeks if 3 or 4 of these things are really as good as they seem like they might be. So this is Randy Kirk. It's been great talking to you.